Hello, actually, can I show you something? I don't know why, but I want to share this. Yesterday was my birthday. This is what Lee got me. Look at this man. He looks so good. Like, hello? So cute. I received those, the Sunny Angel and the card because it was my birthday yesterday, which is so cool. Yay, happy birthday. Another year older, another year to chit-chat about fashion. Okay, what else was I saying? Oh, I wanted to do an extemporaneous chat. I don't know if this is the kind of video people want to hear, but I do kind of want to get my thoughts out in a longer format, because I think these things are interesting. God only knows. People are like, they're not, but we'll see. So I was talking on that website the other day about how people tap into specific aesthetics rather than adopting the philosophies, theories, and sensibilities and ethos of different brands, and why people do that and what the implications of that are. And I guess I want to expand on it. It's kind of something that takes a long time to get into, so we'll just jump into it. There's like salt in my brain right now. Okay, so what do I mean when I say people tap into aesthetics rather than philosophies? I feel like the conversation on that website and several other websites has been exhausted about people buy into these aesthetics, people buy their ways into subculture, and I said that this is attributed to, in large part, not just fashion images, but specifically the way that fashion images are organized online based on these algorithms that use recommended images where they organize similar images next to each other, and our brains like that because the brain wants to organize, the brain wants to line things up. And so that's what I said, and that's what I've been saying. And I said that people do that, and I said what people can do to slow down in their shopping and to align with brands in a different way is align with their philosophy, their sensibilities, their ethos. First of all, I wanted to say what that can be. So rather than, and I always use Yohji Yamamoto as the example. I know he's like, girl, please let me live.
Don't use computer. Otherwise, you cannot get real emotion.
But the Yohji Yamamoto example is the one that I always use. You could buy a t-shirt that says Yohji Yamamoto on it, or Y3. Everybody, even when people aren't sure exactly what Y3 means, I think people are aware that it's a designer brand, right? Because it's this huge logo. They see it only in certain contexts, on certain kinds of people. I remember when I first moved to New York, I'd only see a certain kind of like business guy wear Y3 stuff, and I was like, oh my god, they're so rich. They get to just walk around in the day. I'm on my lunch break, I have to go back to work. But yeah, like you can wear this big Yohji Yamamoto logo thing. Or you could actually buy the Yohji Yamamoto runway looking items, or like actual items, to, you know, communicate and signal outwardly that this is something that you align with. And that's totally fine, especially if those are things that you actually do align with. And I think it's important that you actually align with them. You're not just buying it for another reason. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, like buying and money. I'll write these notes down. But that's like a really literal way, in my opinion, of tapping into these things. Oh, let's take a moment, because I don't like that. Oof. Don't make that face. Okay, so it's a really easy way, like I said in my previous video, it's a way of signaling, and it's a way that we all understand. If something is written out, we all understand it a lot better than being able to specifically identify a brand's shoe, or a brand's aesthetic, or further, a brand's philosophy. It says Yohji Yamamoto. I know it's Yohji Yamamoto, meaning I know that it's designer. I know that you have the expendable income to buy designer clothes, and you align with this cool, edgy, dark, gothic, romantic, subversive design. You must be so deep and cool. We all get that when it's communicated, because it's spoken, and we're all literate, right, in this scenario. And that's part of why people do it. It's a huge part of why people do it, to be understood. Good. I'm glad you understand that that's what I was communicating, because I was saying that I can afford Yohji Yamamoto. I was saying I know who that designer is. I was saying I do align with those romantic, dark sensibilities, and I don't have to hope that you understand that about me. I just said it. It's like walking into the room and saying, I know Yohji Yamamoto and I can afford it. It says it on your shirt, right? And that's buying into the actual aesthetic. And that's the same thing even if you do buy into the runway looks, like, or even recreate the runway looks. That is one way of tapping into the exact aesthetic, is feeling like you have to symbolize it really, really, really literally. Tapping into the philosophy and thinking really creatively about how to embody the brand's ethos, philosophy, etc. takes way more work. Literally requires research, because you have to know what the philosophy is. Like, you don't have to know anything about Yohji Yamamoto to be able to spend $230 on a shirt. You just can buy it. You to think creatively and work with the things that you already have and appreciate parts of your appearance and not feel like you have to change everything about you or spend any money to buy into symbolizing and signaling outwardly that you like Yohji Yamamoto, way more difficult and way riskier, like I said in my last video.
You can copy somebody whom you like very much. You can copy it until end of the copy. You can find yourself.
It is a huge risk to hope to be understood by people without signaling in such a literal way. Like I said, when they walk in a room wearing a Yohji Yamamoto shirt, you know that that's Yohji Yamamoto because it says that. If I'm taking the risk of being like, I'm not going to wear something that says Yohji Yamamoto, but Yohji Yamamoto always emphasizes valuing things that would otherwise be discarded, things that have holes in them, the wabi-sabi concept, things that are imperfect, things that are slightly off. And so that means that you just wear something that you've had for a long time that has a hole in it. How do people know you're not poor, which people look down on? How do people know that you're not stupid and you don't realize you have a hole in your shirt and that you just have bad taste, bad style, you're homeless, whatever things people look down on in our society, they can associate with you, and you're taking the risk to say, I'm not against any of those things. First of all, that's the risk you're taking. I'm okay with associating myself specifically with those things. I'm okay with other people seeing me in this way, and I'm hoping to signal to the few people who understand that what I'm doing is embodying those sensibilities, not even necessarily just Yohji Yamamoto's associations with those philosophies, but associating higher, even higher than that, with just the concepts, you know, of appreciating those things. Not saying like I'm a Yohji Yamamoto fan because I'm doing these things, but like he said these things and that resonated with me, so I'm connected to these larger philosophies and concepts. Huge risk. Who would risk that? I can be understood by everyone and valued by most people and seen as rich and cool and in the in group, etc. Or I can risk people thinking these horrible things about me and signaling to maybe one person in a room every week that this is what I'm doing. That's a huge risk. But like I talked about in my last video, it's a risk some people are willing to take in fashion because they see that value of being understood for who they are and what they actually align with. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. But yeah. Okay, so then what I want to talk about is why it's not easy.
Don't look too wide.
Researching. I do think people have time to learn, but it's hard to learn. It's work to learn, and it's not as fun as just playing on social media and tapping into social and cultural like norms and getting up on like what's the latest meme, what's the latest pop culture gossip. And also I think about the reward value of knowing that rather than researching something that is specific exclusively to you or a very few select group of people. You can be on social media getting the latest meme, getting the latest pop culture gossip, getting the latest viral video and viral sound, meaning when you enter a new space trying to make friends, you have things in common with people already. I love that TikTok sound. We both said it at the same time. Such and such meme joke, oh my god, everybody in the room laughed. Or you can read a book that no one else is reading about a specific designer that only you like, and you can't really share that with people who don't get it or don't care in the same way. And so that's why I'm saying that there's a cultural and social value in participating in social media when you do have leisure time and downtime rather than researching things that are important to you to construct an identity. We are social creatures. We want acceptance. We want understanding. We want safety in numbers. And that does not make you safe in numbers. To research Yohji Yamamoto, if you're like a regular person, especially if you don't work a fashion job, that is not going to create safety in numbers for you necessarily, because what if you try to tell people about it and they don't know what that is and they don't care? Where do you have safety in numbers there? Compared to if I bump into my partner at this new restaurant job that I have, I bump into a person who works there and I go, ooh, 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 and we both laugh. Now I have safety in numbers. I am cooking and I burn myself and I make a joke from TikTok and then somebody laughs. Now I have safety in numbers. I have two people with me now. Who does Yohji Yamamoto fan have? Nobody. You know what I mean? So I understand the cultural and social value of not researching these things. Long story short, it's hard work to learn these things, and it is a risk to learn these things in the kind of social environment that we have. Yeah. But what I think is there's a lot of value in it if you are interested in fashion, because what I always think about is it is kind of crazy to imagine spending $50, $25, $100, hundreds of dollars on clothing items just because they have a designer's name on them. Just liking something because it's designer, to me, is kind of weird. Whether it's $4 or $400, like the amount of money that I see people spend on designers that they haven't done research on, I'm like, save your money. Like, it's not an elitist, like, you didn't even do research. It's like, save your money. It's your money, it's yours. Don't give it to these people. That's what I'm always thinking. You don't need to, it's like giving up a piece of yourself to be like, I want acceptance and I want to associate with this top of the hierarchy so bad that I'm going to submit my money in exchange for that acceptance without having a real reason to. Like, save your money. I don't know, maybe that's crazy. Because I understand the value of status and associating with these things, but sometimes when I see people being like, I'm so excited, this is designer, why? And I know it's because of the social status that is associated with it, but other than that, I'm like, if you can't flip out the inside of your tag and show everybody that it's designer, like that meme video, or like that video on TikTok where the guy's like, it's Marnie, and he has on like the Grinch sweater, and people are making fun of it, like that's kind of what it feels like. I think it's just weird to spend a lot of money, or any amount of money, on a brand that you don't know about if you're not in like a dire need and dire situation. These sweatpants from the dollar store near my house, I was in dire need. I needed sweatpants. But this is an American Apparel sweater. I know everything about them. I used to work there. I got this for free, I think. The Fresh Dive shirt I'm wearing underneath, I love Fresh Dive, I love Rick Klotz. Like, you know what I mean? Aphex Twin, etc., etc. Like, I do think it's okay to only buy things that you really, really like or know a lot about, and otherwise save your money. Like I said, people always see this as me being like elitist or being condescending, like you don't even know about that, why would you buy into it? But I'm literally saying it from a I used to do that standpoint. I used to do that when I was in college. I would be like, I love this designer, like in general I kind of love them, so I'm gonna spend $100 on this designer clothing item, and it's like, I wish I could have had that $100 back right now. Like, to be very frank, you know how many McDonald's meals I could get with $100 right now? Do you know how many local cheese omelets I could get? I'm not gonna say the name of the restaurant, but I say McDonald's because I don't want to tell you guys where I live. I always think about that. I used to buy designer clothes that I liked because I liked how they looked, and I liked some of the designers' other work, but it's like, that doesn't mean I need to have it. That doesn't mean I need to spend my hard-earned money on it. Like, just being like, I like how it looked. I like how it looked, but I didn't like how it looked on me. You know? I didn't like how it felt. I didn't like how it looked on me. It wasn't necessarily my style. I just liked the designer's past work. If I would have taken the time to research, why does the designer design this way? What's the history of the designer? Who is the head designer? Where are they from? How old are they? Who are they friends with in the fashion industry and outside of the fashion industry? What is the point of their designs? Like, why do they want to be a designer? If I would have taken the time to research that, and instead of spending time sorting low to high on every designer website, I probably would have been like, that was really cool to learn. I don't want to buy from him. Like, not in a negative way, it's just like, that's cool to learn. I don't need to buy something from them. I don't know, I hope I'm getting my point across effectively. I don't think it's like, you're stupid, you're bad, you're lazy, why would you spend your money that way and you don't even know anything? Like, as if like you're a bad person. I'm just saying, like, they capitalize on the fact that people want the status associated with expensive things that are identifiable to some degree. And I'm like, they're tricking us sometimes. Sometimes clothes are not good. Sometimes they're not good for us, and we don't need to have them, and we don't need to want them. They just make you feel like you need them. And I think that's why I talk about like associating with sensibilities and philosophies and ethos around a brand. When you do that research, a lot of times you'll find you don't actually have to spend that much money, or any money sometimes. Like, I love Issey Miyake, his obsession, it seemed like, with playfulness and adults playing and clothes that allow you to play, clothes that are playful and happy and exciting and enchanting. And I love his emphasis on technology and innovation. All of those things I try to incorporate into my life, and I look for everywhere. In the grocery store, I'm like, where's the innovation? Where's the technology? Where's the advancement? Where is the play? Where is the fun? In my food, I'd be like, where's the fun? I love getting fun food now. Does that mean I haven't bought anything from Issey Miyake in like a year? I don't think. But I've been researching and reading about Issey Miyake every single day for the last year. I never felt like I had to buy anything because I'm taking on the philosophy. I'm being more playful and childlike in my everyday life with my food and my groceries, with the clothes I already own. I'll wear my clothes in a more playful way. I'll do my hair in playful way. Childlikeness and the fact that adults really don't get a lot of opportunities to play. And I think about like, how come there is no adult playground where there's no, it's not about alcohol and drinks and bad bitches and
girls and strippers and like, where is the place where I can swing? I want to swing.
Reconstruction, even like wearing my clothes and building them up to be two things instead of one, tying a thing around my waist like a corset that I already own instead of being like, what can I buy from Margiela that has like, you know, an identifiable logo, even to the fashion community. Even if everybody else can't tap into the signaling, I don't feel like I even need just to signal to a small in-group of fashion interested people with the Margiela thing. Like, I was looking at Margiela shows the other day and I've been like, I should do my hair different. I should tuck my hair into my sweater sometimes, or even I should like think in a way that's a little bit more innovative about like showering, reusing some of my soaps in my shower. I've been like, how do I think about that in a more innovative way? That is what like tapping into a sensibility and philosophy and the brand's ethos can be. Again, I don't have to buy any new Margiela, no matter how much I appreciate it. Someone's wearing a Mason Margiela shirt, you know that they have over $100 probably to spend on a shirt. They're asserting their status, their class status, their wealth. They're symbolizing that they have some notions and understandings about fashion, etc., etc. If I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt as a scarf, people are just gonna think I'm crazy. Again, I'm homeless, I'm poor, I'm stupid, I'm weird, I'm mentally ill, and I'm taking the risk of having these people associate all these things with me and also looking at it in a negative way because people see these things in a negative way because they're bad people in my opinion. But you know what I mean? I'm taking that risk not only to signal to people who understand it, but like to also not care if I'm not signaling to people who understand it because I'm tapped into the higher philosophy. I just want to emphasize, I don't think one is better than the other. You guys know I love conspicuous consumption and I understand the purpose of it. That's why I'm explaining it. And explaining why it's valuable to, again, have sapient numbers, a larger in-group, more people who understand you. I understand the value of those things and I don't think that they're stupid or trivial compared to tapping into a philosophy. I just think that sometimes this can mean shopping less, consuming in a more healthy, slow way, and being less concerned with being at the top of a hierarchy and asserting power and dominance and status over people. My throat is dry. My hair falls out so much, but it's bright red, so whenever I'm like, there's a hair in my drink, there's not a bright red hair from McDonald's in my drink, unless it was Ronald making the drinks. Like, this is a really good water bottle because it's been cold for days. I don't want to know why. This is Post Normal Studios, by the way. I love Post Normal Studios. I'm a huge stan. You can see how beat up my thing is. It's a cycling water bottle. I don't go cycling. So those are some of my thoughts on it. I think it's important and valuable. Also, onto a third part, I really enjoy learning about fashion. To be 100% honest, to me, learning about fashion, even privately, like not even as a content creator that shares this information, the feeling that I have when I started reading Status, Ambivalence, Fashioning Identity by Maria McKinney Valentine, the connections my brain was making when I had that horrible PTSD from the trauma that I explained on this channel, the connections that my brain made felt a million billion times better than someone knowing that I'm wearing designer clothes has ever felt. No matter how many things I'm learning about that I love and appreciate, I look at so many fashion images and I'm like, I don't need to buy any of that. It slays, I understand it, I value it, but I don't need to buy it because that's not what it means to me. I am happy to understand it. I am so smart. This sounds like so pretentious, and I don't want it to be that because I don't really care if people buy, you know, logo shirts every single day. Like, obviously for sustainability, I wish you wouldn't, but like that's not my point or goal in sharing this. I just hope people can understand it because, again, I say this because when I was in college, even when I was buying things, slow fashion, thrifting, secondhand, and very few designer items per year, I wish I didn't buy almost any of those designer items. I think like also I'm totally okay with brands like lying and faking and being fake deep. Oh, that's something a lot of people maybe don't agree with, and I've talked about it on Twitter and TikTok. Sometimes people don't agree, but if a brand makes up a story so they can sell me something, I'm like, unfortunately, that is your duty in my opinion. Like, I don't care. Brands like, this is based on the designer's childhood in space and he's gay and da-da-da. I'm like, period. Yeah, you need to tell me a story. I want a lullaby, you know? I like the story. I appreciate the stories, and I don't believe most brands have, you know, these very dishonest, like the brands that I align with. I don't think they have these dishonest fake stories. Like, I know that these are these the designers' real philosophies behind their brands, but I'm also just like, they're taking the time to construct and craft these stories, whether you believe them or not. And they're very often so beautiful and speak to such higher powers in this world that connect us and connect us to certain aspects of this world that we maybe can't see, hear, or smell, or touch sometimes. And if they're willing to tap into those things to sell us a garment, why not take the time to read and learn about it? Why not take the time to just dissect it and examine it, criticize it, judge it, break it down, see what connects with you and what doesn't about it before spending a ton of money with these brands? I'm always like, why are these brands entitled to your money if you don't know anything about them? What would be so wrong with only spending money with brands that you actually know a lot about and like a lot? People are like, it doesn't matter, who cares? I'm like, you should. Like, just from a saving your money standpoint, constructing a meaningful identity standpoint, like, I really don't look back on my outfits from 2 years ago and cringe the way that I used to cringe at my outfits from like a week ago every week when I was in college, because I was just like, this is not me. It was never me. It was just like, I like this brand and that brand, and I like pants and shoes and shirts, and I would just buy all different kinds of clothes that were completely convoluted and didn't go together, that I didn't feel connected to. Does that make sense? I didn't feel connected to them. I was like, oh yeah, I like that designer kind of, and I like their runway show pictures on Tumblr, and I like shirts and I like that color, so I'll just buy the shirt. I don't feel like that's a good enough reason to spend money with a brand. Like, it's okay to not get things unless it's like exactly what you want and exactly speaking to your heart's content, or it's okay to not get things in general and just wear the shit you already have. That's what I'm always thinking of, you know? I think that there's some value in just keeping the things that you already have and doing the research to understand these brands, and you know, and I also think that it makes it a million times more special when you do spend money with these luxury brands if you do understand their philosophies, their ethos, their histories. It's so much more fun for me. Like, I feel so much happier spending money with Margiela, spending money with Rick Owens, etc., because I've done so much intensive research on the brands. I feel happy. I'm like, I get this. And I feel happy to not spend money. I'm like, I get this. Whereas, like, the anxiety, part of the anxiety that I think comes with fashion is that people don't research it, and they want to make sure that they look like or seem like they're in, and they're in the in group. And that anxiety pushes people, as far as urgency, to spend their money. They're like, I know what this is. I do know. I bought it. I know, I get it. I'm in and I'm up. And I don't think you can build a healthy relationship with your clothes sometimes when you shop that way. Like I said, the brands are taking all the time and money and effort to construct these stories. Listen to the story, see if you like it, and then when you spend money with them, it feels a lot better. Like, when people have a long story, a long-winded story to tell about why they bought these fashion items, I don't really find that people are dropping them and trying to sell them online as quickly as people who are just like, I bought this because it's designer. I needed something to wear when I was going out on a Sunday and it's designer. This was cool in 2014. Like, this is cool. Why do you have to buy something just because it's cool? Like, it's still going to be cool if you don't have it. What is the connection between it being cool and you needing to buy it? But again, I'm not saying that means people can't shop that way, or shame on you if you shop that way. I'm just saying, like, I want people to be able to spend their money in a way that reflects how they want to spend their money. And I think I was really being pushed by urgency and FOMO and signaling rather than doing things that connect to larger sensibilities. It's not to say that I don't shop ever, that I never spend money, but I really do infrequently shop. I really don't shop that often. I don't spend that much money on clothes per year anymore. And even if I spend a lot of money on clothes per year, I don't buy a lot of items. And I think it just comes with having a healthier relationship with clothes, because I do so much research on them. The less I knew about clothes, the more clothes I felt like I had to buy. The less I understood the clothes and the brands, the more I felt like I had to buy from them. The more work I do to understand them, I'm like, oh, I don't have to buy it. Like, De Gere, that jewelry brand that I'm obsessed with, De Gere, I think that they're such an intelligent brand. They'll have somebody punching their fist through, like, a gate, and they're like, it's a bracelet. They'll have somebody with, like, a hanger on their arm, and they're like, it's a bag, it's a purse. I think that's so funny. Obviously, I would like to buy something from their brand, But in the year or 2 years or so that I've known about their brand, I do not feel like, woe is me, I don't have anything from them, FOMO, I have to spend my money, I have to go into my savings account and move money around and get something from them. Because the whole point of their brand is, you know, a gate is a bracelet. A fence is a bracelet. A hanger is a hat. You know what I mean? Someone's fingers is a bracelet. You know, like that's the point of their brand, that you can repurpose things that already exist to creatively think and challenge yourself to make something into something else. I kept saying a gate is a bracelet because my brain can't think past that. So this is fun. I'm going to challenge myself to think of other examples. And that's what I think the fun of connecting with that brand is. When you see Degere on epochstore.com, you might not get that that's what they're doing. Like, they have some pieces that are really clever, and you can kind of see, like the cigarette earrings I think they have, where it's a cigarette holder and it's an earring. You're like, oh, I get it. They're like making two things in one. But when you go on their website and do research about the brand and learn like some of their philosophy and check out their Instagram and social media and see the people behind it, like when you do all of that work to learn about the brand, when I look at all of the pieces, I understand them a million times better now. And that's why I love researching fashion. With these independent brands especially, like the smaller the brand, the better, because there's not even that much information about them, but you have to do so much work to learn about them. There's always more to know. That's why I love researching Margiela. So many people have covered his work, and no matter how much I do to learn about it, there's always a lot that I don't know. There are always, I don't want to call them blind spots because I don't love that term, but there are always missing pieces that I don't have that somebody else might have, and I might have a missing piece for them, and I'm like, do you want it? And they're like, yeah, do you want this one? And we get to exchange that information. Like fashion, learning about fashion is really fun and valuable, and tapping into understanding those sensibilities and why people think the way that they do when they're designing these clothes or creating this art. To me, again, the feeling of that connection that your brain makes, it's so much better than buying designer clothes just to buy them because they look cool and they're fun. Like, and it tells a different story about who you are and what your relationship is with the world and people around you when you find a designer who connects to who you are, not just the things that you like because they look cool and they can help you look cool, but when you're like, I am wearing this because I know what it's like to have to get clothes from the thrift store. So that's why I like wearing Yohji Yamamoto, to have to get clothes from the thrift store, to have to appreciate things that are broken and damaged and ripped and dirty, because that's what you have to do. And this person is like, I understand that because me too, my mother's a dressmaker. Like things like that when you're like, oh my god, my mom too, da 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 da. Those kinds of connections that you can make with a designer's work, to me, are so valuable. I'm not saying they're more valuable than just liking how it looks. I'm just saying there are other ways to connect. It would slay. Everybody would save their money. Everybody would shop more slowly. Everybody would love every piece of clothing that they have a little bit more if they knew a little bit more about it. Or you would hate the clothes that you have more, and so you would shop even less. Like, part of why I stopped shopping so much is I was like, oh, all these houses have like horrible ethics, horrible philosophies, problematic ideologies and ways of seeing the world, etc., that I just don't connect with, and that slays. When you're like, this doesn't work for me, I feel like that slays. The only way you can know that somebody has a bad opinion is to do the work to find out what their opinion is, have a conversation, do an interview, or read and research. And doing that work and being like, not for me, cheers, slays. Thank you to Past Normal Studios for not sponsoring this video. I hope they do one day, and I hope they give me a bicycle so I can cycle. I just closed it again. I don't know what I'm doing. I hope you guys like this. I'm gonna try to do more extemporaneous rants, because I don't need to explain myself. I love you guys, bye!